Now we continue our discussion on the Babington Macaulay girls who thankfully have been released here in Lagos. We heard the Commissioner of Police say no ransom was paid and that his men combined intelligence, technology, as well as good old-fashioned investigation to get the girls back to their parents. Joining me now to further discuss the children's rights is Mr. Femi Lawson, a child rights activist. You're welcome to the News at 10.
It's my pleasure, Femi.
So, have these girls' rights been violated by this act of kidnapping?
Well, the issue of violation of the right of the children is it's a human rights issue, and it's something that has been globally acknowledged. And as far back as about 3 decades ago, the whole world has acknowledged the issue of the violation of the right of the young children as a very critical one, and that is why till date the Convention on the Child Rights was, of course, the most accepted treaty ever signed by the international community. That's why we have about 200 member states signing that treaty on the child, and a lot of countries have domesticated this, and even in Nigeria as far back as 2003 the National Assembly sat on the bill, and the then president signed it into law. So it's a serious issue of human rights, and unfortunately the problem we have had, just like we have had with most of our laws, is the problem of enforcement and implementation, and that is why today the right of the Nigerian child, as far as it is today, is not really different from what it was before the enactment of the Child Rights Act, which is quite unfortunate.
And you may need to explain this to Nigerians. How does kidnapping actually violate the rights of a child?
Of course, most victims of kidnap these days are young children. For instance, the school girls in Chibok, who were, of course, secondary school children. The recent one in Lagos, we've had instances of forced marriages, abduction from motor parks, and even the most common one being the child labor. You find a lot of children on the streets hawking at school hours, and today it's very unfortunate that we have over 11 million children on the streets of Nigeria who have no access to education. So beyond the fact that one of the major factors responsible for the kidnap is how insecure the children have become. They are exposed, and the states and even the homes are becoming irresponsible, to their protection, and they have become so vulnerable that somebody can just walk up, to a woman's stall, pick up the child, and take her to a distance of 500, 1,000 kilometers without consent. And the fact that look at the kind of security that we attached even to religious places, but such are not attached to schools or other places where we find young children in our society. It shows what importance we have attached to the young children in our society, and that's why they have become so vulnerable. And these kidnappers, I've seen them, as objects, of exploitation, and they can easily, get a hold of them and kidnap them.
You say that these children were vulnerable. Are you trying to say that the Babington Macaulay children were vulnerable in the school where they are? That's a guarded community already.
They were, because, like I said, the Nigerian state does not attach so much importance to the protection of the children. And that is why, like I said, if you go to many private businesses today, private religious organizations, you find a lot of security protections there. But go to schools or go to places where you have young children in our societies today, you can hardly find even the conventional security protections. And that shows, the level of importance we have attached to the protection of our children as a society, which is quite unfortunate.
Now, based on the Child Rights Act, what sort of comfort can these children who have been returned to their parents, what sort of comfort can they receive from the law?
Well, the law provides a lot for the protection of the Nigerian child and the children all over the world. And one thing, like I said earlier, is that no matter how laudable the contents of the law are, the truth is that without implementation or without the will to implement such laws, then the law becomes as useless as non-existent, because today, even there are still some states in Nigeria that have refused to domesticate, the child, right, act, and these are issues that has to, speak about the importance those states and even our society have attached to the act. And the truth is that the refusal of these states and the failure or even in states where these laws have been domesticated, the failure of such states, to implement in some cases, have exposed, the fact that the children have remained vulnerable, the society does not care about them, and that is why today you can hardly find any government, except in very few instances, that attach so much importance, to the protection of the children. And that is why we must give kudos to the Lagos state government, because if what happened in Lagos just a few days ago has happened in some states in Nigeria, the children would have been taken far beyond our imaginations, because a lot of states have refused to be responsive when it comes to children. But if it had to do with the political class or people, the so-called popular ones in the society,
I wouldn't want us to make any insinuations here, but I do hear you. It's the responsibility of everyone, both parents and children, as well as the larger society, to make sure that these children are safe. Mr. Femi Lawson, thank you for joining us on the News at 10.
It's my pleasure.